Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Man. If this is your first time here, welcome to my beauty entertainment channel. Absolutely. So if you would like to follow on social media, here's my Twitter and my Instagram. Go have fun, enjoy yourself, etc. And while you're here, you can watch some of my recent videos. A couple days ago I posted a video I ranked the songs on Ariana Grande's Sweetener in honor of Sweetener Day. And then before that I posted a video talking about why it's just so hard for people to believe black women, and I discussed like Megan Thee Stallion and stuff like that. And then before that I posted a reaction, I'm not sure what to call them, on Selling Sunset, the Netflix show, which is very, very good, which you should watch. All right, period. So today I wanted to, okay, so listen. This video was planned for a couple of weeks ago. Then the like influencer corona parties happened. So I was like, okay, I can just relate this to that. But I thought about it and I was like, no, I want to make this video like in like particular. The video is basically called like who the internet makes famous and why these people get famous. Because usually whenever one of these already bad people does another bad thing because they're bad people, which literally happens every single week, there's a slew of questions asking, how are these people famous? How do these people have fans? How did they get so big? How did we get here? Basically is the question that a lot of people are asking. And it's like the same old questions, and they're valid questions, but they're also easily answerable questions, and I'm gonna answer them. Again, these are like my theories. Yeah, so like the question of why these certain people are able to become famous and stay famous even though they keep doing horrible things. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about why I think that is, and you can watch along, I guess. All right, so I think I have like 4 or 5 reasons. So the first reason, they're white. Okay, so before the Amanda Hates White People Brigade comes, let me go on a quick tangent, because I don't know why I've been getting this comment more than usual for the past couple of weeks, but I really need you to understand my channel's not made to coddle white feelings at all. My channel's not made to coddle male feelings at all. My channel's not made to coddle heterosexual feelings at all. What? Like, we live in a racist society. Like, it's not my job, and it's not the job of any single black creator on here talking about race to therefore make it feel comfortable for the white people who choose to watch us. I don't know how that wasn't clear before, but I'm gonna make it clear right now. It's not my job to make you feel comfortable in a world that doesn't want me to exist. That's frankly just the way it is. So like leaving a comment, a really long comment talking about, I loved you and your channel until you said that white people were annoying, so I had to unsubscribe. What do you think that does for me or for you? Honest to God. What do you think that does for me? Nothing. Nothing. You don't have to announce your departure. We're not at an airport. We're not at a train station. You don't need to announce your departure. Just go if you want to. Again, I am not here to make you feel as comfortable as possible talking about race. That would defy the entire point of everything. It's not just me. It's not the job of any black creator on this platform to make you feel comfortable when we're talking about race. You want to feel comfortable in a system that you created and helped perpetuate? I don't understand. I don't understand that sentiment. So like, yeah, that's besides the point. But that was just a quick little tangent about like, no more, don't leave comments about that. If you don't like it, then go. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to watch, like, I really don't understand. You really do not have to watch someone that you do not like at all. Okay, back to my point. Back to my point. So we all know this, hopefully, that white creators are given much more grace to be literal horrible people than anyone else, and also don't need as much talent to get to the top. Just deny that all you want because of a little something called white privilege, but you already know that. Don't blame me for something that you made, all right? So why do you think people are I haven't even said a name yet, and there are probably people in my comments defending their fave and making excuses for their behavior right now. And I haven't even said a single name yet. Not one. There is literally every single excuse in the book for white creators when they do something awful, whether it's their age, the fact that they might be insecure or struggling with something, or that they don't know any better, and the same grace is never, ever given to non-white creators. Ever. It's like creators like James Charles and Tana Mojo are given excuse after excuse when they continuously do pretty bad stuff like every week. It's so, like, really? We can't take breaks ever. No. It's like they were young. They didn't know any better. Why not? But I'm expected to know better, though. Like, if I did that, people would be upset. Rightfully so, because it's a bad thing for someone to do. But when these white creators do it, it's like, well, they were young. How can we expect someone so young to know this already at his age? What? I'm like, from the Ebola jokes to literally attacking any single woman in the beauty industry ever for making a makeup line, you can't keep using the he's young when they're both like 21 years old. You can't keep, like, yes, they're young in the grand scheme of things, but they're old enough to know what is appropriate to say on the internet and what is not appropriate to say on the internet. You can't keep using that anymore. It's old. It's very, very, very old at this point. Because, like, we aren't allowed to be young and make mistakes, but y'all are, and that's the big difference, primarily. All right, so next. Besides that whole point of like being able to make mistakes, non-white people on this platform and like and TikTok and stuff, I'm talking about all social media platforms when I discuss this, not just YouTube, y'all can pretty much create any type of content that you desire, but if we're willing to have the conversation, which I think I talked about in an old video of mine, black people would not be allowed to. You think there'd be a black Jake Paul? Honest to God, he would be in prison. If a black person was doing what Jake Paul is doing, terrorism, they would be in jail. They would already be in jail. The raid would have happened. There was a raid. Jake Paul got raided. That raid would have happened, I don't know, years ago, and he'd already be in prison. Are you kidding me? A black person acting as reckless as Jake Paul does would be in prison. At this point. And on a smaller scale, not in terms of like jailable offenses. You think there could be a black Tana Mojo? I want you to really think about that. If you're not aware about how black women specifically are treated in this society, I'm here to tell you that if there was a black Tana Mojo, her channel would get demonetized literally within 36 hours of her making it. That's just the way it is. Because, and people may be confused, what all Tana does is tell story times about her life. Well, that's what she used to do, I think. I'm not sure what she does anymore. Again, I don't watch these people. I don't know these people. This is not my type of content. And I do not have an issue. I have no issue with her talking about her like sexual adventures and like drugs and stuff. Like, do what you want. You're grown. Do what you want, all right? But you know who would have a problem with that? If that was a black girl, literally everyone on the planet. Every single person on the planet, including YouTube, the platform, would have an issue with that. Would have it, but there's no issue when it's Tana Mojo. Of course not. We're not allowed to be sexual beings unless it's someone else telling us that we are sexual beings. Black girls and black women cannot take ownership of our sexuality. Like, someone else has to own it. We're not allowed to like, yeah, we're sexual beings. No, you're not, unless I tell you you are. So when you do see black women taking ownership over their sexuality and telling stories and all that, go read the comments. Go read the comments under a black woman talking about her life, about her sexual authority on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, even in like an article, like a news article. Go read any of the comments. They're vile. They're absolutely, I guarantee that they're vile. Because that's just the way our life is. That's just the way our life is. And no, just in general with this whole court, no black person will be given the amount of second chances. No non-white person, honestly, but especially black person, no non-white person would be given the amount of second chances, graces, pardons that these people get. And I mostly named YouTube, but this has got to do with TikTokers too. Because why do I see a new Notes app apology from some creator on that app every 3 business days? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I keep seeing them. So I'm like, you guys, the excuses keep being made. And they work. And they work. And we'll talk about why those excuses primarily work in like a couple of minutes, actually. Okay, so reason number 2. Men. So it's way easier, you know this, it's way easier, this happens easier when the creator is a man, but you knew that because you've watched my Who Has the Most Privilege in the Beauty Community video, which relates to like pretty much every section of YouTube. It's not just beauty community, but I had the most experience from that aspect. That's why I made that video about that. So white men have the most privilege in the world. So why wouldn't that translate onto the internet? That's why, because people were asking, how is it white men and not white women? So men in makeup are still stigmatized especially, but white men are still afforded a privilege in the beauty community that you cannot not understand or cannot not see every day. Why do you think? Because everyone likes to make fun, or not make fun, just observe the fact that a lot of these big male creators are like not very good at makeup. Not that they're not very good at makeup, but they're pretty much one-dimensional, and people are like, why doesn't this non-white male creator get afforded the same accolades and response? You know why. Men in makeup are absolutely still stigmatized. White men still have a privilege because the beauty community is a part of the world. The beauty community is a part of the entire world. So of course the privilege doesn't go away. Privilege does not go away. And just like the men in the beauty community do, they can and do at the tip of a hat perpetuate misogyny because of powder. Because of powder, they perpetuate and engage in misogyny towards women in the beauty community. We saw this a couple of weeks ago. Why is almost every single one of the largest beauty influencers men? Not saying men, again, I am not saying men in makeup don't deserve representation. I'm just saying one type of man in makeup is given any sort of representation. You would think by looking, because everyone is like, we have all this representation of men in makeup, and I'm like, who is being represented here? Because do you not believe that black men wear makeup too? I'm confused. I'm confused. Do dark-skinned Asian and Latino men not wear makeup too? You wouldn't think so, looking at what's going on. And you could talk about, well, it's because they're more talented. You don't want us to get into talent level and the hierarchy in the beauty industry and on beauty YouTube, because it's not distributed how you think it is. It's not. And that's why people keep making up the observations about how are these people at the top of the beauty industry when they do the same look every single day. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. So that's mostly in the beauty community, but it has to do with every facet of social media and these platforms. And it's like, boys will be boys, right? So they're always allowed to make mistakes, and we should always forgive them. Always, ever, because they can never take accountability for their actions. That's why everyone gets confused, why the creator always gets confused as to why. What I see a lot when creators get called out for stuff, especially ones I've already mentioned in this video, is they're like, why am I being attacked? Everyone has done this before. You have a platform. You're not being attacked. I mean, in some cases, some people will attack you, but you're not necessarily being attacked. You're the one with the platform. Yes, other people are doing it too, and yes, there is a case for some people just don't like you, so they're gonna bring up things that you do badly because they don't like you. There is a case made for that, but also you did something wrong. So no one's harassing you or attacking you. They're simply bringing up the fact that you did something wrong. And that's kind of just the way it is. So now you have whiteness and maleness, which are golden tickets to fame, especially if you're a little bit racist. And that moves us on to the next one. Oh my gosh. So reason number 3, scandal lovers. So scandal sells. We all knew that. So how does scandal sell? Well, you have a scandal, and then drama channels talk about it, and then commentary channels make fun of you for it, and now your name's everywhere. It's just the way it works. And yes, I'm a part of that, but it's just the way it works. It's how this community has worked, and that's why whenever you hear I think this was a year ago when a lot of beauty channels specifically were talking about how drama channels hurt their careers. I was like, that's simply not true. That is simply not true, because you just notice that you still have one, even though you've done all this horrible stuff. In fact, they're probably helping because they're keeping your name in the news. So this is it's not a tangent, it relates. So you know how reality TV has like kind of gone down the shitter recently? I made a video about this, I think at the end of last year. I don't think YouTube is the only reason for it, but I think it's a major reason as to why reality TV has gone down the shitter. So YouTube allows the everyday person, to show their life. And now these super rich influencers can show their super rich rented life and personality on the internet for clicks, right? But it's not interesting enough to keep the audience actually interested, because the personality is based on the stuff, and there was no personality before the stuff. So you have to create scandal in order to have people actually interested in your life. You have to keep your name in the news. You have the news, meaning like drama channels. That's the source of news. You have to call the fake paparazzi on yourself in order to sell and to keep your name constantly in conversation. So the internet makes people famous who can do all of this without batting an eye. Who cares if I offend this certain group? It'll make at least 15 drama channels talk about me for the next week. It can be purposeful because they're already bad people, or it can be a bad person who's like, yeah, I don't really care what I say as long as it gets me in the news, right? Who cares if I literally lied about my senior portrait? At least I got on Ellen, right? And based my whole career off one giant lie, right? That's fine. Who cares if I keep throwing parties in the name of not being able to make any money any other way? Because that doesn't even make any sense. Because the added press of me being an idiot will be able to bring my name higher up on the search bar. And this is just a quick, that's what I read, that one of the owners of one of the many TikTok houses that I did not know the name of until before I researched this, one of the owners, he said, or owners or managers, I do not know, was like, we make money by throwing these parties. And they're like, we can't make any money if we don't throw these parties. No, none of that makes any sense. Yes, you can. Have you heard of a sponsorship? Have you heard of a YouTube video? Have you heard of anything? Have you heard of being sponsored by any sort of product ever in your life? No. You make your career off of being better than people, and not better in like personality, in terms of your soul, in terms of who you are, in terms of I have more stuff than you, and you can't do that from inside your house. But what does the party do that you do throw? It keeps your name talked about for at least a week after the party is being thrown. Okay, good. And even though, I mean, your lights got turned off by the mayor of LA, but you're not posting stories dancing around in the dark black night. So it doesn't seem to be bothering them that much that their lights got turned off. And yeah, you might not have water if you do it again. It doesn't seem to really be affecting them to any sort of degree. So like, yeah, they don't care. They do not care, because all press is good press. Because scandal sells. But then we get into an issue of, because scandal sells and because there's a streamline between I don't want to call them talent, because some of them don't have talent, between creators, drama, and commentary channels, because whether you like it or not, we're all kind of a part of it, which is, it's fine. It's fine. Now people get it all in everyone's business. Like, I just saw, it was yesterday, I think, or the day before, like Charli D'Amelio, one of the TikTokers, was like, I don't know how people get these videos, but a video was leaked. The girl's like 16 years old, and she was like drooling or something, or like vaping on someone's story, and that video was leaked, and everyone was in a 16-year-old's business. Please, she's drooling. Was I drooling at 16? No, I care about my lungs, but the girl is 16. Leave her alone. There's other people you can report on, because there's other people trying to make the news right now by doing god-awful stuff. Leave the girl alone. for a quick second, for a little bit, leave the girl alone. Like that was the strangest thing I ever seen in my entire life. I was like, y'all don't have something better to do? Really? She's 16 or 15. She's a teen. One of the two. Find something else to do, please. Oh my God. So basically it is much easier for you. This is a thing. This is also like a quick cheat sheet if you want to become as famous as possible. It's much easier to become famous and it takes a lot shorter amount of time, a smaller amount of time to become famous if you're fine with certain people hating you for being a terrible person. If you have no issue with that, then you can blow up literally no problem if you want to. If you have no issue with people with a lot of people thinking that you're a terrible person or thinking that you don't care about other human beings, but if the follower count makes more of a difference to you, you can be famous real quick. It'll be even easier if you're white, even easier if you're male, and everyone loves a good racist, right? Everybody loves a good racist. That's the best scandal of all. Everyone loves a good racist. That's why bad people get famous so quickly and are able to stay there, because it doesn't affect them really, because they're bad people. All right, so the last reason, and maybe the most important reason of all, is their fan base. So the target fan base, I talked about this I think it was in the influencer, like the COVID party video that I made. The target fan base of all of these people are preteens, and purposefully so. Again, disclaimer, like I said in that video, I'm not saying you can't be 11 and watch a 25-year-old. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about 25-year-olds. I would even say 23-year-olds, anyone over the age of 20 with a target audience of preteens. That's what I'm talking about. So we're going to use 25 as the example age for right now. This 25-year-old has no personality, right? Nothing going for them, kind of very sad life. They got a lot of money, supposedly, and they have a couple million followers. There's no personality, so you can't have fans your own age. You can't, because if you had fans your own age, you'd have to have something interesting about yourself to attract to other 25-year-olds. So they have to go younger. But 16-year-olds or like around that age still wouldn't pay them any mind, because at that age you wouldn't be falling for the middle school-esque brain schemes, scandals, and just they're scamming children. You wouldn't fall for that when you're 16. I'll talk about that more in a second, but you wouldn't fall for that at 16. So they go younger and younger and settle on middle schoolers on purpose. So remember my third point about how Scandal sells. Well, Scandal sells to those who don't already watch them. Scandal's what keeps their name in the news, but they have to have a core fan base, otherwise their career, something would actually happen to their career. But where does that core fan base come from? Like, this is what the reason why Scandal sells, the reason why I know the names of these TikTokers, because I don't be going on that app very often, but their Scandal brings their names to all of us, but they'll never be touched because of this middle school age fan base that will never ever let them fall, because what else do they have to do with their time but defend their fave in a random YouTuber's comments? Find something else to do. If you're already doing that, fine, go do your homework. Didn't school start? Go do your homework. All right, so they need to sell their stuff. They need to sell, because Scandal can't sell at all times. You need a core fan base. So children. Let's take a step even further back to children's programming over the past decade and the differences of how it changed. So children used to watch Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and stuff like that. You probably did as well. Then for my age group, I was born in 2000. So for my age group, a lot of people stopped watching Disney Channel between the ages of 12 and 14. Some earlier, some later, depending on just who you are. This was because of shows like Teen Wolf and Awkward and Pretty Little Liars. Made a whole video on that. The reason why, these teen shows, a lot of them, a lot more started coming out, and they had something Disney Channel didn't have. They sold sex. Made a whole video about that. It was my first, I think, commentary video on this channel. So nowadays, what's happening is usually you watch Disney Junior, then Disney Channel, then you leave, right? Nowadays, kids aren't even making the jump from Disney Junior to Disney Channel. They're going from Disney Junior to YouTube. Maybe not even watching Disney Junior as much as people used to in the old times, like 10 years ago. YouTube has turned into a main source of children's programming, but they know that because it makes them a lot of money, but they don't seem to be taking any steps to recognize that they are turning into a major source of children's programming. Especially now in quarantine, YouTube is a major source for children's entertainment, and they don't seem to be taking that seriously. Take it seriously in the money-making regard, but not in the children's safety and well-being regard, right? So YouTube, the step that YouTube has taken to protect children from these sociopaths is basically a rinky-dinky little question YouTube asks when you're posting a video. It's like, is this video appropriate for children? Yes or no? If you say yes and it's not, they can like seriously fine you or something. But like that was their idea, their precautions of making sure children aren't exploited on screen or off screen. The question that the YouTuber has to answer themselves. Whatever. Whatever. What other age demographic would a gambling website sponsorship work on besides children? What other age demographic would a brushes you just pay shipping for work on besides children? I want you to think back of water. I want you to think back to all of the ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous things that you wanted from ages 8 to 12, like around that age. Now imagine you have your parents' card attached to your iPad, and all it takes is one click of a button and it's gonna be at your door in 5 business days. Rinkety-dinky little brushes that someone made like hundreds of thousands of dollars for that come to you broken and falling apart. Now you're on a gambling website. A gambling website was promoted to children. Clicking box, wanting a mystery box. Click, 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 click. $50, $50, $100, $100, because your favorite creator told you so. Because you have no concept of money when you're between the ages of 8 and 12. When you're a child, you have no concept of money. I know. I did it when I used to go on iTunes and just buy television shows and was like, click, click, no idea what was happening. No idea what was happening. It'd be like a $25 season. Click, nope, no idea. So I'm like, aware, just having fun, because you don't really know what money is. You know what money is to a certain extent, but not to the realistic extent. That's why I say it's weird when your target audience is around this age, because I would hope, even though some of them do, I would hope you don't have the personality of a 12-year-old, even though some of them do, so maybe that's not a good point. I would hope you don't hang out with 12-year-olds. And you have nothing in common with a 12-year-old. So why is your target audience 12-year-olds, if not to make money off them? You have nothing in common. You would never hang out with a 12-year-old. Maybe you don't have the personality of a 12-year-old. So why is your target audience for your content children? Why? If not to make money off of them, what other reason could there be? I'm not seeing any. I am not seeing any at all. So like, all kids do is they go to online school now, but they go to school and then click on YouTube and get sucked in and literally played by these supposed family-friendly content creators who are not family-friendly individuals. That's what happens. Then if we take a step in, this is a theory that I have. You know, so this is related, but it's okay. So you know how the middle school, high school dynamics work? They're prevalent at every stage in our life, like mean girl mentality, that kind of stuff. It's prevalent in every stage of our life, but it's the most obvious and the most potent, I would say, most concentrated in middle school and high school. There's like popular kids and the losers, like the in crowd and the losers. That happens. It happens in every stage of your life, but it's especially potent and especially like effective in middle school / high school, depending on like how your school operated. So what these creators do, this is my theory, what these creators do by preying on middle school age children, and they play into a certain like dichotomy the right word, with this dynamic. So on one hand, you have, even though I became famous based on pure luck, because I have no talent, I became famous on pure luck, and you will never, ever, 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 ever get to where I am. And I can afford all this stuff, which makes me cooler than you. I can afford, it's rented. I can afford, but 12-year-olds don't know, they don't know that it's rented. I can afford all of this stuff. I can go to parties. I can do all this. I'm the cool kid and you're the loser. All the cool kids at your school watch me. So if you want to be included by them, you need to watch me. You're part of an elite club when you watch me, because what else are you worried about? I mean, other stuff, but people want to fit in at this age. Who's who? Who's popular? Look at all this stuff. Look at all the stuff that I can afford that you won't be able to afford, most likely because it's rented. And now you're jealous of me. You want my life, even though it's not realistic, because it wasn't even realistic for me. I can go out and party during a pandemic to keep proving that I am so high above the rules, so high above the law, so high above moral ideas, so high above ethical ideas and practices. I am that cool. I am so much better than you. But on the other hand, if you want to be like me, if you want to be a part of the cool club, buy my merch. If you want to be a part of the cool club, enter a car sweepstakes for 11-year-old fans. You have to buy merch. Ace Family did this absolute nonsense. You have to buy their merch to enter into a car sweepstakes. Your audience is comprised of 11-year-olds. What else would you have this young fan base for if not to literally exploit them? I'm not saying this won't work on older people, but I'm saying that it works best in an age group that is already like hyper hierarchized. Like the idea of this middle school mentality, mean girl losers, is super concentrated in me and in middle school. It just is. That statement didn't make a lot of sense, but it's super concentrated at this time. That's why I think it works best on them. You do anything to fit in any space, even if it means writing a 200-word paragraph in a random YouTuber's comments about your fave, who I fully believe would spit on you in the street. That's what it means. You'll do anything. I mean, I can't exactly blame the 12-year-old. I can't blame them because they don't know they're being taken advantage of. They don't. So like, YouTube gotta do something about kids being exploited both on and off screen, because family vlogging is a whole nother can of worms that I'm like, I don't have time to get into that right now, but some of those terrible ass people are exploiting their kids to other kids because they're basically advertised as Disney Channel-esque programming. But YouTube's a little bit more accessible than like cable or whatever Disney Channel is on. That's why they keep going, and that's why it keeps working. Because I'm like, what other reason would you have to have your target audience be someone who was 11 years old when you were 25? What other reason would there be besides to exploit them? Now, do I think all these people are sitting in their rooms like, I'm going to exploit the middle school hierarchy today? No, none of them are doing that. My theory is for why I'm sure a manager knows you can make a lot of money off 11-year-olds. That's my theory, is that is to why. Jake Paul's not sitting in his house thinking about, I'm about to exploit the middle school mean girl mentality on these 11. No, he's not doing that. He's calling his lawyer. He's about to go to freaking prison. He's not doing that. But that is my theory as to why it may work best on like 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds and that approximate age. That is my theory as to why. So that's why all these people are famous. They're mostly white. Men have it easier. They all got a little racist past. Okay, so this is what I noticed from when the Jeffree Star Shane thing, the most recent one, happened. I guess other people, by other people I mean white people, don't realize this. A lot of people are racist. A lot of people are racist. A lot of people are racist. A lot. A lot of people can excuse racism, which makes them racist. A lot. Shane Dawson had like 20 million subscribers. A lot of people are racist. A lot of people in this world are racist. That's why their fellow racist influencers have humongous platforms. Because a lot of people are also bad people. That's why, talk about this in my cancel culture video, that's why they'll never be canceled. Because as long as they have people who agree with what they said, there are people who do not care, or would do what Jeffree Star has said and or done, would do and or has already done what Shane Dawson has done. That's why the platform is so massive. So like when there's a hint of racism, there's a hint of a racist scandal. That's why no one really goes away, because people don't care about racism as much as they think that they do, because they're also racist. I think it's also worth noting that on none of these platforms is there actually any sort of consequence for racism, because, okay, so what is the most consequence any of these people will get? You'll get dragged on Twitter. Twitter is, again, like I talked about, very small and minute. You can still have a much thriving career after being dragged on Twitter. There is no consequences for being racist on YouTube. In fact, it is encouraged. That's just the way it is. So when people are like, well, how do we keep having racist influences? Because there's never any consequences for their action. And then you add in that there are a lot of racist people in this world, because they are. That's why they don't really care. They'll get it. Someone will bring up the acid throwing that Jeffree Star said about black women. Again, they'll be like, okay. Because they would say something equivalent and or worse. A lot of people are racist. So it's like, because y'all don't like to believe what black people say. You don't like to listen to what black people say. So when a black person is like, hey, Shane Dawson is a terrible person. He's a terrible person. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to listen until it's literally shoved in your face, shoved down your throat. Hey, Jeffree Star is kind of a terrible person. He's gonna do terrible things because he's a racist person, and no racist person is a good person. Nobody listens until something again happens again. That's why that works. So that's my point. So anyway, that's why all these bad people are super, super famous, in my opinion, because they're fine with being bad people. Because they already are bad people, to get to the lifestyle of rented LA mansions and rented cars, because that's what's most important in life. And that's also why I think it happens so quickly, because the more you're able to like be like, I don't really care what other people think about me, in the term, not in the terms of I'm carefree, in the terms of I don't care if people think that I'm a good person or not. I don't care if people think that I'm putting public health at risk. Once you get to that point in your life, you can become famous on the internet really, really quickly. But is fame on the internet worth it in that degree? Because you're famous on the internet, not in real life. The internet's not real life. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's not fully encompassing of real life. Like, Twitter is a very small part of the world. The people on Twitter, compared to everyone else in the world, is a very small minority. So if you see ideas on Twitter, or like people being talked about on Twitter, people who aren't on that app have no idea what's going on, because it's a tiny part of the world. It's the same thing with YouTube. YouTube famous people are only famous to people who watch YouTube. A lot of people don't watch YouTube, so you're not famous in the same degree, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's my reasoning as to why a lot of these really bad people become famous. They're bad people. And a lot of people in this world, I guess maybe it just comes with like a lot of people thinking that people are good in this world, which is a good mentality to have, that people are inherently good, but a lot of people aren't. That's what I just like noticed from the Jeffree Star, that from that recent thing that happened, people were like, how are people still following them? I'm like, because they don't care. Because they're racist too. Because they would tell someone, they would throw battery acid on them too. Because they would make a Shanae YouTube video. That's why. That's why people still follow them. Because they're just as racist as they are. That's why all of these people that I named have had racist scandals, and their fans do not care. In fact, they will go into they will go into short-circuiting mode if you ever bring it up, because they would probably do or say or have said or done the exact same thing. And the thing is that I didn't even bring up is when you have these target audiences of 11-year-olds, and then they get confused as to why they have to act like a Disney Channel original show. They get confused as to why I can't act reckless the way I want to be, when you created your audience based on the fact that you wanted to you wanted to exploit middle schoolers. And then you wonder why you have to act a certain way when people ask you to act a certain way and not go out and party during a pandemic. I don't know what you really want. You want the money, I understand that, but the way that you chose to get there, you now have to follow certain rules. Because you wanted to take the quick path to fame, which I'm not judging you for, whatever. You wanted to take a quick path to fame. There are some consequences that arise because of that. Dummy. Dummy. I mean, it happens when you have no personality. Your personality is, I can afford more things than you. I can afford more things than you. That's what happens. So yeah, that's my video. Yeah. Yeah, that's why a lot of bad people become famous. And it's not, TikTok is a little different because I'm not sure if it's, because it's like dependent on that algorithm, whether you get on the For You page or not, and then like that determines stuff. So there's different consequences there, but you can also see it's kind of the same thing, just on a different scale on TikTok. So yeah, that is the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to follow me on social media, here's my Twitter and my Instagram. Go have fun. And while you're here, check out some of my recent videos. I'm gonna post them on your screen right now. Go enjoy and watch. And yeah, I hope you guys are staying healthy and safe inside your houses, and good luck at school if you're starting school this week, or if you started last week, or if you're starting next week, whatever. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye bye.